afternoon, guys. Welcome back to the MLP Automotive LLC channel. So today we're going to walk you through how to do some brakes, and we're going to be doing some front brakes on Mrs. MLP's vehicle. She's got a 2013 Honda Civic LX and she needs some brakes, and we're going to walk you through how to do a brake job properly and get her done right the first time. So right off the bat, one of the things I'm going to show you is how we test for brakes. You see these? Each one of these are our measurements, from obviously green being good down to red being bad, and it's time to replace them pads ASAP. So let's see what Mrs. MLP has. We had a little bit of brake squeak, and we actually go on a lot of, excursions, and we take a lot of long trips. We like to travel, but from the looks of it, Mrs. MLP's vehicle unfortunately has a little time, but not much. She's down to 4 millimeters. So 4 millimeters is pretty much essentially under half a brake pad. And as you guys see, and once I get the brake pads off, your brake pads have thicknesses. And this is a brand new brake pad. And let's see how that measures up. Boom. Brand new. So that got you at 10 millimeters. So now we know we got low brake pads and they need to be changed. A couple other things we're gonna do before, we start this job, talk to the customer. We're gonna feel the condition of these rotors. Definitely have, not a totally true flat surface. Definitely got some pretty heavy rust lips. So back in the day, you used to be able to turn these things, this, that, and the other. I don't turn them anymore. Fortunately, it became cheaper to buy them and just replace them than turn them. And half the time when you turn them, you're back in a couple weeks replacing rotors anyway, because you can only turn them down to a certain amount. And if they're not done right, they chatter, they warp, and you're replacing them anyway. So at least when you're replacing them with me, you're getting a 24-month, 24,000 mile warranty, which, most of my vendors are offering me to extend to my customers, because I stand by my warranties, and warranties are a big thing to keep me safe and keep my customers safe. So there's also another process to check your rotors. I'm not going to pull out the micrometer. Got a micrometer that would give you exact measurements on these, but these have a little pulsation on them anyway, so we're just going to get rid of them. We're going to start new, get some fresh ones, and just be done with it. I already checked this car out a little bit. We know brake hoses are good. We know the calipers are going back. Everything's moving like it should. So we're going to start disassembling this brake system and showing you guys what to do's and what not to do. Now, you want to be able to get your caliper back. And there's a couple different ways we can do this. I'm old school, so I like to throw a little C-clamp on there. And where I put this right here on this outside brake pad. And on the back of this, you have a caliper bolt. And again, this is not going to take too much pressure, and a lot of people might say it's not the way to do this, but I pretty much just get this in a little bit of an opening here, or you can go in till it stops. Just be very careful, but make sure you're actually on the bolt, not the bleeder valve. You have a bleeder valve up here, don't do that to yourself, because you're going to cause yourself a bad day and a lot more money than you want to spend, because you're going to have to replace the caliper to break the bleeder valve off. Then again, once you get that back just enough, that just frees the caliper up off the rotor. So now we got that pushed back. And as you guys can see, I'm very big on mise en place. I mean, I understand it's for cooking, but now my daughter's a chef and one of my good friends are a chef. I'm learning a lot of new culinary sayings and aspects, and not realizing how I've always worked in my career very anal retentive, having tools ready, having my chemicals ready, just having everything ready in place to get this job done. Like I said, let's take a little look at that. You know, I am ready. Now, what we're gonna do is remove the brake caliper. Got a 3/8 ratchet. And again, guys, you gotta remember, a lot of times when I'm doing this, I'm using electric impact guns, I'm using air impact guns. I'm getting this job done pretty quickly to get her back on the road, you know. This is just to show you guys, you know, taking our time and making sure you guys are doing it right at home. Pretty much this caliper bolt is held on by a 12mm. Come over here, you got 2 caliper bolts, top and bottom. Make sure you're on there nice and straight, because you don't want to strip out a bolt. And like I said, righty tighty, lefty loosey. No problems yet. So, you know, once these things get loose enough, you can just start hammering them out with your hands, you know? Just gets them out really fast. Fortunately, this bottom one's not that loose yet, so boom, boom, boom. And again, so much faster when I'm using, you know, pneumatic tools or electric tools. But again, we're here teaching, right? Got 2 caliper bolts. Unos, dos. So I just try to keep everything tight and neat. Put my caliper bolts right there. I know they're not going to go anywhere. Usually I have a metal tray on there, but you know, metal trays are actually being used everywhere in the shop right now. We're actually really busy, really fortunate, really lucky to have all these amazing customers, you know, supporting us. So now we have our caliper loose. It's time to take her off. So we're gonna lift up our caliper. Here's your caliper piston. Here's your caliper brake line that attaches to the caliper to supply the fluid. And these are the mounting holes for the caliper to the caliper mounting brake. So we're going to place this up here. One thing you never want to do is let your calipers hang. Because what happens when you let it hang like this, you see here, this is a hydraulic brake line. And what's going to happen is it's going to pinch. And that's not good. You don't want a pinch into something that's going to supply pressure and brake fluid down to stop the brakes. Because it's scary when your brake pedal goes to the floor. So the Hondas are pretty good. They just kind of hold up here. But I also have another tool where I can just hook it up. I can hook it up to the spring of the suspension strut. So now we're going to remove our pads. Let's take a little look at the difference in an old used pad compared to a brand new pad. Look at that. Night and day difference. And, you know, let's get this all fixed up for us. Let's put them to the side. Let's put this back in the box so we don't lose brake pad. Your caliper mounting bracket. And we're going to have to remove this. So to remove this, we're going to replace our 12. And I always kind of, when I'm rolling, get 2 sides to your sockets. This side is going to be on the bolt. This side goes onto your ratchet. So when I'm rolling, just kind of put this side for the socket side down, just to know to grab that socket really fast. Same, you know, this takes a 17mm to remove the caliper brackets. So we're going to remove the caliper bracket right now. And sometimes you got to remember these can be really, really tight, and you might need to use some force. And if a 3/8 isn't cutting it, you might have to step up to a 1/2" drive. Or then, like I said, you might have to, you know, get a 1/2" gun, 3/8 gun, you know, whatever is going to get the job done. But we take pretty good care of the missus' car, so it's not really a big problem. We've done brakes on this, and you know, everything's been pretty well taken care of. So now we're getting our caliper bracket off. I'll show you a couple things we're going to do with that in 1 second. And now your rotors, since we're replacing these rotors, you got to be mindful. Not all rotors are just going to come off. There's a lot of different things that hold rotors on, and for Hondas, it's usually these 2 Phillips head screws that drill in. You know, they screw into the front of the hub bearing to keep the rotor flush with the hub. So Now we have to remove those. And there's a whole bunch of ways to do this, guys, because sometimes these can actually be a real pain in the butt. So, old school way, this is called an impact driver. Impact driver with a Phillips head bit. So pretty much what we're gonna do, put that right there. Grab this hammer. What you always want to try to do is get one good hit. Got that free. Again, if you can get one solid hit, maybe sometimes it takes two, but it is what it is. Like I said, sometimes these things don't like to come out, and that's why I was kind of set up. Had an air chisel with the impact driver for this Phillips bit if I needed it. So that would just go into there, and I would actually be able to put a good amount of force to see if I get them. But sometimes this doesn't work, and when that's the case, we have to resort to the cutoff wheel. And pretty much what you would do is just, instead of having a Phillips head, you're gonna make this flathead. So pretty much you can get another impact driver on there and get it out, or just cut the face off. But unfortunately, we didn't have to do any of that. So, came off just right. Yeah, we got a lot of pink in the shop. Pink screwdrivers, pink, you name it, we got it. We got these off, and again, we're just gonna set these right here. Saw that grab? That took many years. Just gotta get used to grabbing things falling off lifts. So now, as you see, this is loose. But we don't have any movement. So what usually happens, and I'm going to show you after we get this off why, is rust, road grime, and corrosion builds up on all this stuff. Since we're replacing the rotors, this is okay to do. Do a little up tap there, up tap there. So we got a pretty stuck rotor. So now we know the hammer's not going to work. So what I'm going to do, I realize I didn't have, I'm sorry, but I'm going to grab another air bit chisel. Guess my mise en place was not 100%, but hey. So now we're going to get this out of our way. This is a hammer bit. So what I like to do, because I don't like to, just smacking on people's cars a lot, just put it right here in the center of your studs. See what that was doing? It's breaking up all the rust. It's breaking it all down so I can get it moving. So now we got her off. See? Rust. Just binded it on there. So how we're gonna get that rust off is we're gonna clean up the face of the wheel bearing hub. So I'm probably not gonna have this tool at home. Sandpaper, whatever you can get in there, will do it. But you just want to try to get this as clean as possible, because what happens when the rust builds up, people don't realize it's pushing the rotor off the wheel hub, and that will cause warpage, pulsation, and just all a bunch of other stuff. And again, if you're going to do the job, let's just do it right. Don't have to second guess. Don't go behind yourself. Just do it right. Buy the tools and let's get it done. So now, this is a very special tool, as you see. It's got a hole inside that's big enough to go over the studs. So we're gonna clean the faces of these rotors up, wheel hubs up. And all, before I screwed up. I'm very big on safety. And what did I not have on? My safety glasses. And I'm the boss. So I'm always telling Nick, put your goddamn safety glasses on. You know what I mean? And here I am, doing a YouTube video, unsafe. All right, we fixed that, let's go. As you see, this first one, look how shiny that's getting. Look at all that rust coming off. Some parts are just a little bit more rusty than others. I kind of always hit the little circumference. Always gonna feel your surface. If you're good, you're not gonna get this perfect, but getting as much of this rust off is beneficial to you in the future, life of these brakes. So now we're gonna do some cleaning, guys. So as you saw, place my bracket, bucket is my catch bucket. And now we got our brake caliper again. This here. We're gonna take some brake clean, and we're gonna start up here. Let's clean our brake caliper off. Again, remember this stuff sprays, guys. That's why safety classes are important. The cleaner in your eyes. Does not feel good, burns and it hurts. Like, been there, done that. So now what we're gonna do, spray our caliper down. I'm gonna get all that road grime and all that corrosion and all that rust off that caliper. So right now we're just doing a little cleaning. Put that back up there. Less brake dust we have on this vehicle, the better. So now, gotta get all this cleaned up, get this hub cleaned up. We're gonna move down to our bracket, because we're gonna have to do a little bit more with the bracket. And we're gonna do a little bit more with the caliper, but this is a very important part. Most people miss this. Even techs in my industry miss this a lot. These are your caliper bracket slide pins. And what happens is, after many years and millions of stops, these things start to get rusty and corroded and just binding up because, a million stops is a lot of stops, guys. So what we're gonna wanna do here, we're gonna remove this. They come out. Sometimes they don't come out hard, and believe me, or easy, but believe me, you want them to come out like this because the other way is just a pain in the ass. So we're gonna remove these out of there. And with a rag, I'm gonna clean this part up. But right now, before we get to that, there's things I like to do with these. Because like I said, a lot of stuff builds up in here. Freeze off, this stuff's amazing. What I do, I load this up, let that sit. Like I said, I would usually let this sit 5 to 10 minutes just to really soak in to get done. So after we let that soak in there, I kind of dump it out. And then I'll take a little bit of brake cleaner, spray it in there when they get through, redump that out, and then I just want to put just a little bit more freeze off in. And now, like I said, we don't want this to bind, we don't want this to lock up, so we're going to take our drill, we're just going to hone out these holes from. We're gonna break all that dirt, grime, whatever's in there. So this customer and Mrs. doesn't have any brake problems. Again, they make honing tools, this, that, and the other. Unfortunately, our honing tool broke, so we're using a drill bit today. But it gets the job done. And it gets the job done properly. So they make many tools for many different jobs. Take some of our brake clean. And we're gonna clean all that out. And right now, we're gonna set this down for a second. Come back to our guides. See all that just nasty, black, just thick grease. And it just means it's time to be changed. So nice and clean. And these are actually pretty smooth, but I would also say, if these weren't, taking these over to a whiz wheel, give them a good shine down is good, but these are pretty shiny and I don't see us having any issue. So now, before we install these again, brake lubrication, guys. This is a sensitive topic in my world. For some reason, a lot of technicians don't like to use brake grease on brakes. I'm not sure why. I'm old school, I was taught use brake lube. So now, you don't need a lot. More is not better with this, guys. Please know that. If you pack too much of this brake lube into this, you guys are gonna have braking issues. So what I like to do is just a nice little thin coat. Dab do you pretty much. And we're gonna reinstall our pins. See that? Oh, nice. Get this one in. But also, we're still gonna have to do a little bit more on these. So all your brake calipers have guides, and we want to change these because these get old and get nasty. And look at that. Look at all that rust, corrosion, all that under there. So now I want to clean some of that rust and corrosion off. Once again, let's get these out of our way. Let's just clean this up real fast. Good steel wire brush is perfect for this, guys. You just want to get as much of that off as you can, because again, rust and corrosion are building up, and Sometimes a lot of techs have problems getting pads put back on, and they like to grind the pads down for some reason. Not a fan of that, but instead of realizing the problem is rust and corrosion is building up and doesn't make it easy for the pad to travel into the guide. And again, these aren't the worst I've ever seen because, you know, we take care of the lady's car and, you know, it's in pretty good shape. Said once you hit the rust, just hit this off. So now, we're pretty much ready to go back together, guys. This is what we're gonna do. Set this to the side real fast because right before we get back together, we're gonna do a little bit of work to this caliper. So, like I was saying, the road grime and stuff, and we gotta take the caliper back a little bit. Like I said, the many tools that we have would be, you know, caliper depressor tool, which pretty much you would just take, you know, one of your old pads, just throw it up in there, take this, like that. So what's happening is this pin is getting pushed in and we're pushing the caliper piston back. Because if we don't do that, you're not going to be able to get your brakes back. It's only going to take a couple pumps because we already have the C-clamp, you know, do a good amount of work for us. And let's get that pad out of our way. Compressor done with now. It's a great tool. You know, if you guys are going to do this, I highly recommend it. As you saw, we did clean this up earlier, but we didn't do what we did down there. A little bit bigger of a wire brush. And we're going to hit this, you know, we're going to try to get as much of this brake dust and stuff off. Look at that. Whew. We're just trying to get as much of this off. Again, you're not gonna get this perfect, guys, but as long as you get a lot of it, the bulk of it, you're gonna be golden. Look at that, just falling off. And again, some people have sand blasters and all that good stuff. Unfortunately, we're a new shop. You know, we might get a sand blaster down the road, but a lot of things you gotta save up for and build for, you know, as you start your business. And unfortunately, a lot of things in my world are just very expensive. You guys hear me say that a lot, right? Because it's true. So now, I'm pretty good with that. Hit a little bit more in here, nice and clean. Again, brake clean's best friend in this job. So, I'm gonna let that dry off for a second. When it's drying off, we're gonna set up to put our new rotor back on. So, we're gonna use a coated rotor for the Mrs. car. So we do a lot of driving, and again, there's all different types of rotors you can get, from good, bad, cheap, expensive, or whatever. I mean, this is a good graded rotor, and you know, I know it's going to last us. But one thing we want to do is make sure they match up. Many times I've seen guys pull these out, not making sure they match up. There's two things you're going to match up for the same size. And this is called your rotor hack. You want to make sure the holes line up. So when they do, so we good. So just gonna put this old rotor to the side. That's it. You have marks for your Phillips head screws. And there's going to be corresponding marks on here. You put your rotor where it matches. See? Oh. Phillips head's back. Sorry guys, trying to stay out of the way as much as possible. I know in and out over there, but you're getting the gist, right? Got that nice and tight, not moving anywhere. Gonna go back down here to our bracket. So we have one more thing to do. So I also am an avid fan of Akebono pads, one of the best brake pads, you know, out there, I think. And these pads not only come with your brake pads, they come with your brake caliper bracket shims. Again, these shims are important because if you don't put them back on, you're gonna have a lot of brake bumps. So you wanna, usually come with multiples because there's different years, makes, and models. Just gotta make sure you're putting the right ones on there. And these are very easy. So pretty much what they're gonna do is, like I said, they make different models, so we're just gonna figure out which ones they want us to use. Looks like this one maybe. Yep. So we're playing this game. Boom, got her. See that? Snug like a bug, fits right in, nice, clean, good surfaces. And now, we're gonna put our caliper bracket back on. So now, I have them hand tight. Again, get our 3/8 ratchet, 17 millimeter. Again, there's torque specs for every single bolt on your car. I can pull torque specs up on every bolt on your car. Again, don't need to do this for brakes. And if you guys do want the torque specs on this, just hit me up in the comments and I'll put them down there. Because I've been doing this for 27 years. Got a pretty good handle on how to torque down some brake caliper bolts. But you know, when I'm bringing my guys up, I make sure everything's torqued so they can learn torque. So let's take these out. Right, that's it. Remember, you guys don't want to over tighten any of this stuff because over tighten stuff can cause you a bad day, bolts breaking, and you know, a 10-minute job will turn into a 3 to 4 hour job real quick if you break a bolt and have to extract it and tap it. Not fun. It's not easy on the pockets either. So, we got our brake pads. You see, two different kinds of brake pads in this box. This is the squealer. This is what you hear when your brakes are going bad. This is what usually makes people turn up the radios. Just saying, I've been around long enough. Like, oh, we didn't hear that noise, but yeah. So this is what literally tells you your brakes are going bad. So when you guys are hearing the squeal, do yourself a favor before it gets worse and costs you a lot more money. Come see somebody like me, or do it yourself. You know what I mean? So now we're gonna put a little bit of lubrication. Remember, a lot is not better. You know what I mean? Like, we just don't want to do too much. Have our pads ready, right here. Little thin coat. Little thin coat. Wherever metal to metal would touch, we're just gonna put a little thin coat. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy at all. Again, a dab will do ya. And now, see your pad, the angles with the rotor. Put this in like away like this. Put the bottom in like I usually do, and boom. Anything that kind of comes out, just be a professional, clean up after yourself, make it look professional. Again, we're gonna do the same thing on the inside pad. So remember, with these new shims and stuff, sometimes it'll be a little bit tighter to push in, but it should slide right in for you. So now we got our pads in. Look at that, boom. So on your caliper, there's a couple lube points I like to lube. And again, this is different for a lot of techs, but we lubricate brakes. So again, not too much. Anywhere metal and metal is going to touch. Right here on this brake piston, and right here on these caliper ears. That's all we need. Very, very little. Now, this is very important, guys. You see, I had this up there, not to have the brake, hose hanging or dangling. You also have to be mindful that you're putting this caliper back on right. I've seen so many times people get the hoses cranked like that, they put it back on, like, oh no, Mark, I have no brakes, something like that, because you kink your brakes. So I always make sure this caliper is going on true. See that? Bam, fits like a glove. That's how it should be. So now we're gonna get our caliper bolts. Let's get this out of our way. We got them. Let's try to get you guys. Start them in by hand. I like to just get them to the point where tight. By hand. Again, 3/8 ratchet. 12mm socket. And tighten. Again, be very careful tightening caliper bolts. They can very easy. I mean, I'm telling you, I've seen lots of technicians just break them, and you know, it just causes me a headache. Nothing I can't fix, but you know, I prefer we not break caliber bolts. So, you gotta remember, torque. Now, we got our brakes back together. Now, most shops don't do this, and I do. I guess it's more for aesthetics maybe, but I also think it performs a little bit of rust prevention. So, waste on want none. What I usually do is take this rotor back and just rip it open. And we don't want to get anything on these new rotors. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this in and under the rotor and that caliper bracket. I'm going to lock it in place. Put this here, again, so I don't have to move it. I don't want to have to worry about coating new rotor with spray paint. So, again, a little spray paint. This takes a couple more minutes for me to do. And usually, I'll do the bracket while we have it off. But again, this is just a training video, and this is not a part that you have to do, but this is a part I do because my customers value it. It just makes the job look better, and you're going to see in a second. So, come a couple inches away. Again, just a little rust prevention. I mean, honestly, look at that caliber compared to what it looked like before. And you can't just put any kind of spray paint on this, guys. This is high heat spray paint. So please know that. Just don't be putting whatever spray paint you want on there. It's not high heat. It's not gonna last, guys. So again, one little coat. Nothing crazy. Let that sit for a second. Boom! That's how you do brakes, guys. That's how MLP Automotive does brakes. So, any questions? Leave them down in the comments. Anything. We've been loving the comments. And again, we appreciate you guys tuning in.